Obviously, the latter is more entertaining. The LGBT Marvel Comics superheroes. When I was reading comics, no superhero was gay, but times have changed since. Peter Parker was a bit of a bleeding heart liberal. Perhaps that's where it all started, this bleeding heart liberal, caring about everyone. Is it bad to care about everyone? Well, not to an unrealistic extent, because it means not following any rules of priority, and this is precisely the area of religion. Now, what's different about the characters in the Torah is that they are mortal, they had a mission. And there were many situations of danger where quick thinking and quick acting was required, and all this happened. So, as regards giving a people identity, then obviously it is characters with a heroic mission who successfully or mostly successfully accomplished it, who are to be considered heroes and who are also supposed to be real. LGBT Marvel Comics superheroes are obviously fictitious characters. I know that characters like Superman, Batman are supposed to be a kind of pantheon of American deities, because all nations want their foundational myths and characters that represent them. And we have that in Hinduism. We have, Krishna, his heroic exploits. So you would expect Jews to have their own, and the English have King Arthur. Who is fictitious or supposed. Yes, of course, he was fictitious. So there would be some heroic tale of some key person in your republic or kingdom doing the heroic things, and that would be the representation of your people. In Rome, it was Romulus and Remus, the two brothers who were brought up by a wolf. So I'm saying that the Jews have the advantage over people who want to believe in Marvel Comics superheroes who are LGBT. Because for one thing, the characters in the Torah are supposed to be heroes of the Jewish foundational story, while even the Gentiles who love these superheroes know them to be fictitious and the creations of cartoonists and writers who are supposed to use their psychological understanding of people in any age and reflect the concerns of the people who live in a particular decade. So I guess the LGBT Marvel comic superheroes would be reflecting the concerns of people living in our times, grappling with LGBT issues. Now, should we be grappling with them? I mean, obviously, if we're gay, we would be. Should people be encouraged to be gay? Well, not if you're having a problem of a declining birth rate. I mean, that should be obvious. But nothing seems to be obvious to most people. What you do is you try and explain again and again what the problem is. But it falls on deaf ears. They don't want to listen. Well, it's been pointed out to me that I should say it more nicely, but I don't think they'll listen, however nicely you say it, because the people who come here, I suppose, are not really movers and shakers, and the people who are movers and shakers, if they can be described as that, are doing it with somebody else. Now today I read an article by Unheard about Alexander Dugin, and it was basically nonsensical. It was a very long article, it gave a lot of detail, but there was no particular theme other than he spoke to this woman, and this woman seems to be a rival political scientist to him. And I don't know if the rest of you find that a lot of long words and long articles are used to almost fill airtime, in the same way that there are lots of long streams that don't really talk about anything. It's just featuring people who are guests, who are favoured guests, because people laugh at their jokes and you're not really sure what the joke is about. Perhaps the joke is on you. Hello, Moon Cricket, do I know you? So if we're going to be having foundational myths, we should choose carefully so the people chosen to represent us should have some, heroic and successful enterprise that they succeeded in doing. And so you think, well, Marvel comic superheroes, they're supposed to be saving the world, but it's not really convincing. And the story keeps changing. And you know how often these characters are created and destroyed. There's some dramatic staged death or resurrection. So I guess even in our advanced technological age, we still need stories to tell us right from wrong. And the oldest stories are contained in the oldest books, with the oldest message that has been kept, that has been preserved in writing, supposedly the word of God. So we can see that LGBT Marvel Comics superheroes is a modern attempt to recreate a a foundational myth on more heroic terms, and more contemporary than, say, Hercules, who was, I suppose, a Greek version of well, he was a superhero, wasn't he, Hercules? He was the ancient Greek version of Superman. So what about there are no superheroes in the Quran. There's only Muhammad, the messenger, who was known to have taken the correct political and military decisions that brought him to success. So the whole point of the Quran is actually not to be magical and grounded in politics and I was going to say war. I suppose I can't escape from the term politics and war, which is really all what foundational myths are about. There has to be some struggle for the creation of some city-state or some struggle to keep it in existence. Hello, Wesley Curry II. I don't know you. Hello, Wesley Curry in Huntington, West Virginia. So, assuming we are successful, there will be a new story and there will be a new set of heroes. Because that always happens after a revolution or after every war. There will be a heroic story of success or a tragedy of was it the 300? The Spartans who sacrificed their lives in order to achieve a greater good. So the story has to be believable. It shouldn't have miracles. So it would have to have psychological depth, heroic achievement, and some eternal and universal difficulty to be surmounted. I don't think these characters and situations are hard to imagine or create. Yes, and you're right, I mean, cricket, it doesn't have to be believable, but it helps. So I was thinking of the biography of Muhammad and the fact that he didn't perform any magic tricks. I think that makes his story more serious than Jesus making feeding the thousands and all that. So I would prefer a more believable foundational myth so that it can be inspirational for ordinary human beings about the expected difficulties of leadership in crises. And I suppose there has to be a magic bullet, or the equivalent of a magic bullet. So the magic bullet for the Torah, the story contained in the Torah would be, the Torah itself. And for Muslims, a magic bullet would be the Quran. And for Christians, it would be the Holy Grail. Yes, I wonder about the Holy Grail. It's okay. I'll look it up on Wikipedia. I know it's something that is by definition to happen. See, we don't even know what it is. The Holy Grail is a treasure that serves as an important motif in Arthurian literature. Various traditions describe the Holy Grail as a cup, a dish, or stone with miraculous healing powers, sometimes providing eternal youth or sustenance in infinite abundance. Often guarded in the custody of the Fisher King and located in the hidden Grail Castle. By analogy, any elusive object or goal of great significance may be perceived as the Holy Grail by those seeking such. There's something similar in Chinese mythology too. I'm reminded of the first emperor trying to find the elixir of immortality, and then when he died, he made some, I don't know, something with mercury on it or something, in the royal tomb. I forget the details now, but I suppose every culture wants to think it's got the, secret to eternal life, or some eternal money tree, or something like that. I mean, you have a good example would be leprechauns living at the end of each rainbow, where it will be found, where there will be found a pot of gold. So to conclude, I would be saying that the characters in the Torah would be infinitely more realistic and profitable to reflect on than the silly characters in Marvel Comics, which unfortunately a lot of adults still want to read, which is evidence of their infantilization, I suppose. And that is yet another sign of degeneracy when you don't outgrow childish things, which is also warned about in the Bible. There's something about it could be inside childish ways, and it's in the New Testament, 1 Corinthians 13. When I was a child, I spoke as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. So there's a lot of unresolved issues of people not growing up. When do we know that we have grown up? There will be milestones such as marriage and becoming parents, or becoming orphans, or that sort of thing. But there will be milestones, even if they're not the usual ones that people are thinking of. So as you can see, there's one set of characters in a book that you might regard as fictitious, but I mean you could regard them both as fictitious, but one group of people have been able to make more of it and turn it into part of their national identity than people who like reading comics. So thank you for your attention. If you have remained thus far. Now I'm going to have a look at the crazy stuff that Wesley Curry has been posting. It doesn't make much sense to me. It's a little annoying that so many people just type nonsense. Okay, I'll try and find out what he's saying. So he's saying that he lives in West Virginia. I don't know why he feels he has to tell us that. And then he says, "You are an Allah." Well, he says he wants to destroy Mecca. English is obviously not his first language. He seems to be making some kind of prediction that a nuclear bomb will be detonated in Chicago, and it has biblical significance. And he says the Leviathan is China. And that China will nuke America, right? And will die horribly. And that's it. That's his story. What's the purpose of this story? I suppose you can have these grandiose predictions and you can frighten people with it and also annoy them. But the detail of it is supposed to be clever. But it is easy to make predictions in a way. World War III is more likely to occur the stupider and evil our ruling classes are, and they will become more evil and stupid if they're uncorrected. To correct these evil and stupid people, you would have to talk politics and ask yourselves where things went wrong, and you would have to do better than just blame Jews. But unfortunately, there are many people who prefer to blame Jews, or whoever they like to blame, because it's just easier to attribute your failure to a conspiracy, so it readily explains your failure. It was all rigged. It may be rigged, but it can still be defeated, but only with the right attitude, with the right message, and the right the right leadership.